meeting. A few months ago, we got together, we asked what can we do to grow and better the city, that growth and economic prosperous is coming to Wilson County. And we thought, well, why just make the decision ourselves? This is a community that's come together, community and help. So we're glad y'all can make it. So y'all also don't know me. My name is Stephen Yager. I'm Poth Economic Development. We have Mr. Kurt Simlinger, Robert Casters, Mr. Danny Poth. And if we're ready to go, we'll jump right in. Does anyone else want to sign this, Steve? Any ideas? No? All right, so we'll start with Mr. Robert Vieira.
Good afternoon. I see a lot of familiar faces, but if you don't know me, I'm Robert Vieira. I don't live in Poth, but I have property in Poth, and my comment is going to be probably 50% city related, 50% Poth EDC related. I just would like y'all to all think about the traffic situation around the school. During pickup and drop off, I'm sure everybody's begun to notice how cluttered the streets become. Dixon Street from 541, Chamber Street, Carroll Street both ways, Breakacre Street. You've got, understandably, you've got parents and custodians and so forth picking up children, and at the same time you've got the high school releasing, and so it's becoming somewhat of a traffic congestion, and I think it's only going to continue to get worse. We're talking now about, a proposal to build onto the elementary, and I think as citizens and voters and so forth, I think we really need to start thinking long-term. Poth EDC owns 40 acres of property out here. I don't know how many people are aware of that, but between Railroad Street and Sunshine Street out here, we already have the bus barn and the project barn, but there's undeveloped property over there, and I think it would be wise to start thinking about building out there, moving the campus over there. I know there's a lot of reservations because in order to have an elementary out there, you have to have a cafeteria, you have to have a library, and so forth, but I think at some point we need to start moving that direction. Another issue is security. We talk about our campus being secure. We have peace officers, we have armed staff. But I'm going to tell you honestly, you can drive by the school certain times of the day, and you've got a whole line of kids walking right down the side of the street. I mean, you've got a main thorough street coming straight through the campus, which is your Dixon Street, comes now from 427 all the way to 541. So it's almost impossible to say that the school is actually secure, when you've got a main street running straight through the campus. And, it's terrible to think this, but it's not unheard of for somebody to take a car and run into a group of people. And, I saw, like I said, a whole line of elementary kids the other day just walking down the side of the street. And so just, my biggest comment is, and I do have an interest here in the school, my wife is a teacher, but, I really think we need to start talking about utilizing that property out there. And, with my vision long-term would be to have the whole campus over there, have something that could be fenced in, one way in, one way out, and then the only traffic you've got on campus is people that should be there picking up, dropping off, and not just random people coming through and so forth. But anyway, that's my comment. I appreciate your time, and I would encourage you to think long-term about that and encourage your school board and also exercise your vote. Thank you.
Next on the list of people speaking. Next, we have Krista and Stephanie with Poth Marketing.
Hi everyone, I'm Krista Scott.
I'm Stephanie Sept.
And we are heading up the Poth Market Days. And so this is a new it's not a new idea, but it's new to Poth. Poth has never had anything like this before. So we're hoping to bring the community together, bring vendors together, and just have something to post. families to do. And we've worked really close with the EDC and the city to make it happen. And right now we have 46 vendors secured, and it's going to be in the Poth Plaza. So we hope that you'll join us.
Yeah, and if anyone has any recommendations for any small businesses in the area that would be interested, absolutely email us. We have a Facebook page, email address, all of that. It can be found on our flyers and they'll be posted around town. So if anyone has any input or any suggestions to anything that we can add or you'd like to see at the Poth Market Days, please let us know.
That is all.
Thank you.
So since we just had the two speakers, I'm gonna bring some topics up and ask what everybody thinks. So we know Poth is a growing, moving town. We know the houses are coming, and we see how Poth is growing. So as economic development, we want to find ways to bring businesses here. What type of businesses, as in maybe restaurants or dentists, or what type of business would y'all like to see come to the Poth so we can find a way to work, help bring these people to our community and reach it? What do you guys like to see? What do y'all feel like to see in this town?
I would say restaurant, like a nice family sit-down restaurant. Young kids can play. I know Lavernia, Lavernia has the den. Yeah, the den. I love it. It's safe. You know, there's one entry, one exit. So that's nice.
Yes, ma'am?
I think we ought to have an IHOP.
They're not quite big enough for them, but that's a great idea.
Stephen.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I love minis. If y'all don't know what minis is, I'm a customer of them. But unfortunately, there's just not enough room there, and they're having to go to Forest Gump. They're leaving here. So, minis, eats, and treats. Ashley and Amy, I'm sad that because they're right here. And I love their food. I love their baked stuff. They always have good things. It's different than just Mexican food. But unfortunately, they're leaving to Floresville. But they're looking at hopefully down maybe Poth will open something up so that they looked around here for places so they could, have their establishment. There's just nothing. And that little tiny place is so small there. Yeah.
It's tough to get in and out of that place also. It's tough to get in and out of that place.
Yes,
right?
it is.
That's
It
a
is.
big problem.
Yeah.
That's why Linda moved across the way.
Yeah, the show park, you have to
Yeah.
walk across.
So I guess, well, around the topic, I guess, something I really miss is when we had a doctor or a PA, and now we had a pediatrician, which is doctor for children now in town.
So like a general practitioner or something?
Yeah, but a PA or something like that down there. It's really handy when my dad was, in town. It's always like just a block away. For minor things, we don't need an emergency room or anything like that. Someone that can handle, types of bruises, little stuff like that. Really nice to do because it was really handy when it was here.
She's the pediatric nurse now. She's very busy, but she's trying to bring in a general.
Oh, she is trying to bring in a general family doctor.
Yeah,
Okay.
family.
Maybe we can help her, I guess, or something.
Yes, that's something I go visit with and see what we can do.
Yeah, she's working on that.
Okay.
So, yes.
I have a question to kind of address, you said bring in business to town. What all, I assume it's all on the east side of 181 that's zoned for commercial property?
Most of it's here down 181, most of it's on this side of the town now. If that's something we were interested in, we could always meet with city council and ask about rezoning, some zones in the county.
My question is more, what can we do to buy out the people that have that property already? Some of that property is kind of an eyesore, old infrastructure, dilapidated buildings. We're talking about a spot for meetings. What if we had something, and I'm not talking a big shopping strip or anything like that, but just small areas where we could have parking, kind of like certain G off the highway, something secure where any business of any type would say, hey, here's a place I could open in Poth. And I think we have the space for that along 181. We just have some, you know, whoever owns that property, I'm not gonna drop names or anything, but if we could get our hands on that property or convince them to sell, I think that would address a lot of bringing in business into town.
That's a great idea. We can meet with city council or city attorney and see what we can do that, and maybe reach out to the families that own those properties. And see, that's a great idea. That's something, I don't know if any of us have thought of that, that's something that gives us direction to work towards.
Just a thought.
Anybody else have any? It's my first time doing this. I'm just trying to piggyback off what you guys feel or like to see in town and what can work towards. Yes, ma'am?
Talking about getting the business in, we'd like to see Chick-fil-A here.
Okay, so, I guess, sir?
I guess I was just gonna ask, because you said it, he said it, you got to say we, who's we?
We as the economic development, we as the EDC.
Okay, and what's the affiliation with the city or with,
We are, I guess, Christian Hardware Companies.
You get a quarter of a cent of tax money. They're supported by tax money. And their goal or their job is to find ways to develop economically for our city.
for Poth?
For Poth, yes, sir.
So you represent Poth?
Yes, sir. We're all citizens that live within the city limits of Poth. We volunteer our time. We meet once a month. It's posted in the paper. It's posted, you know, on the water bills. You know, we meet once a month. We try to find ways to enrich our community. Which brings us to the next topic. What ideas do y'all have for us to not just look at business, but enrich the community as a whole? Any ideas of like maybe for walking trails or parks or what we can do to make this place a better town?
So the EDC has done quite a bit with the park walk. I mean, that has been a lot where I guess our most strong over the last few years. We worked with UTSA for a few years and came up with a master plan, UTSA architecture department, and they kind of helped us figure out what the park need was for the town. So that's how we came across, we bought the railroad property and then started developing that. So that's been how long that's been.
Honestly, y'all can tell I'm new here.
That's great.
I just wanted to understand, you know, what it is.
It's not, I mean, a lot of the cities around have these EDCs, they're all getting taxing. So like in Floresville, I deal with them quite a bit too. They bought a whole piece of parking way out in the Kentucky area for the industrial apartments. So then we're trying to bring industry over there.
Gotcha.
But then they might end up with problems and stuff like that too. But, so, and then they've been working on the parks and trails and stuff like that too. So they're doing the same stuff we're trying to do here, just on a larger scale because they have a bigger tax base.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like a bigger tax. You know, stuff like that. But, you know, so these guys, my dad is here too. So, work with this too. No, you should actually watch these things. You can tell them, you know, sometimes if you're looking for, you know, government, it's hard to get money out of the city. It's a little easier to get out of these guys.
We will be able to.
Yeah, but if they don't know you and don't know what's going on, then, you know, they can't help you.
I think as a young mom, one of the things I'd like to see something for our kids, the park is nice, but something like a pool or a splash pad or something to keep local. It'd be nice to stay around here, especially during the summer. There's a lot of kids in the area. We both live down by the park and the streets are constantly full of kids, but just nowhere to go unless we go to the park to the side when the older kids aren't
so, to Clay's point, there is a little bit more available in the EDC to do more flexibility. They don't have payroll, they don't have, things like that that we have to maintain. So, we did, one of our meetings, we did talk about the splash pad idea, and that's why we were with Stockdale and got some information about that. They use fresh water, so just some things take time. And then they got a grant that took a couple of years, so grants take a long time. Anyway, yeah, we're thinking about it. We're trying to get information. Yeah.
So, I'd like to maybe address y'all and these ladies at the same time, is that I'd be very much interested in seeing what's going to happen when we have the class. And are these your first 3 events? And are you planning on more for the future? Are you planning on something more like rock or Fredericksburg or one weekend a month? And so then addressing these gentlemen, I would think that we want to look at and I would be interested in part of it, is why I'm bringing this up. We want to look at more space or where would be the best place for a monthly festival, if you will. And also where you bring in food vendors, you can bring in things for kids to do as well, along with products. So, anyway, just thinking both ways here, speaking with y'all.
Yeah. So on top of that, so yes, we're hoping to make this a monthly thing. Right now, there's a conflict in scheduling with the park date, but moving forward, this will be hosted in the city park. And so we'll have a lot more space, there'll be a lot more room. We are offering 2 food trucks this next one, but more food vendors are absolutely welcome as long as we can get those through the door. We haven't had a whole lot of interest from food trucks, but definitely something we're interested in. This all kind of sparked who walk the trails in the morning, and we're always talking about like what can we do for our kids, we're a small town, we're a close community, why don't we have more festivals or events that our kids can participate in at Easter or Christmas or 4th of July or whatever that might look like. And so this is hopefully just a way to segue into that, so that those monthly markets can become bigger festival type events with the space.
From a development perspective, is there electricity in the park?
Yes.
Is there ways that vendors or food trucks plug in different locations?
And there's restrooms.
Yes.
So, going back to the community, we are planning a festival. We want to bring back the old-fashioned traditional Christmas on the plaza. So we are working on early stages of putting on the Christmas in the plaza, maybe Christmas in the park this year. Would that be something that you as a community would be interested in? And what would y'all like to see at this festival besides Santa Claus?
I was thinking, I don't remember all the time, I see Santa coming on the fire truck all the time. It's a big thing too, but there's like events. My mom was always like throwing quarters into the hay bales and stuff like that. And we just do that, and kids just spend hours just digging into the hay bales and corn. So one way to keep that busy. Some more events like that. Another event that we used to, was a big thing down here too, was getting the trail riders to come and support the event and stop. We used to do that. Sometimes they would meet out at Jimmy's house or something like that, or just come to town. And convince them, you have to encourage them to come by for some reason. Feed them or have coffee or.
We used to stop at lunch here.
They did. People quit volunteering to help. So, dwindled down to. So if there's interest again, they all stop here, they would love to stop here. And the school loved it because the kindergartners all dressed up for cowboy days. It was,
Get that organized. Well, yeah, I know about some volunteers, but it's like, hey, can you be president this year? It's like, no.
So there was top 4 items that you guys must have in this town for to work on what would those items be so we can build a game plan to try to make this happen.
Could you repeat the question?
But there were, what are the top 4 things that you guys must have or would like to have in Poth so we can really work on? These are great ideas to work on. Well, what is that? What things you just gotta have here in Poth that we can try to enrich the lives of our communities?
I think there are, well, judging by our vendor list, there are a lot of local businesses around here that don't have, like we had mentioned earlier about these, they don't have anywhere to be and do business, like as in a brick and mortar or a storefront. So if there was something, I hate the word strip mall, I hate it. It doesn't sound nice at all, you know, but if it could be like a classy outdoor kind of area where, have you guys heard of Waco? Where they have like the chicken joint at the silos and these out movies and we have like movies at the park that I want to have. They have a grassy area and they've got vendors, but they also have brick and mortar stores for people to shop. So, and it's got a Hallmark vibe. It's homey. It's like we're a small town. We're a small town, yeah, but in a very good way. So maybe something like that.
So you'd like to have it developed?
Yes.
Like an incubator type thing, just little store, not massive stores, or something. For
Right, yeah, not like a mall, like a gigantic mall or anything like that, but maybe somewhere, yeah, small.
Areas.
Yeah, area, a designated area. Stephen?
Yes, ma'am.
I was a good education, was involved under my nose, so I was talking about it earlier, about getting rid of these high school, all these homes and buildings that are just falling apart. To really track the homeless owners and all these.
It's something we can get with City Hall and see if there's something we can do on that. I'm not sure that falls in jurisdiction of the economic development, but we can speak with powers that be and see what we can do to try to. I know Crystal and the city council have been trying for some time to do it by the city. We worked very hard. Another one of our recent developments of the EDC is there on Dixon. We cleaned the creek there, so we helped the flooding. That was a big project. And
Our church,
yeah, it's, we want to find things that we can do to help. Now, there's limitation on cleaning creeks and what we can do, but there's just, something you might think is small and minor, might be something big. And if it's something we can do, we want to be able to help do it. Thank you for the opinion and we'll see what we can do.
Stephen, I was with the gentleman with the alpacas over here.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday. They're doing birthday parties there. He's doing a menu deals that we're working on. Wine tasting. They're coming up there. He's from out of state, comes from Illinois, I think it was, when they're, I was with them yesterday. And they had, like Saturday, they had 2 birthday parties over there. And then they had another group of young women just from the city come out and they cook for them and they had wine and everything. It was like alpacas. That gentleman's doing all that. He's starting all that right
Oh,
now.
wow, so it's somebody different. And that's the alpaca farm?
That guy signed it just went up.
Oh, wow, we need to listen to that.
They're also having a festival in October, on October 1st. It's like a pumpkin patch, you can buy pumpkins from them, but they also charge like $20 a person for like a tour, a private tour, essentially. And I think they're gonna have like face painting and stuff like that, so yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
See, that's something that comes back to y'all's field, one that is so Walmart now. Is something like that, we can find a way to incorporate them with events like theirs. The park, the plaza, whatever we might see fit. Really, both, we don't have something we're truly known for. Why not be the Fredericksburg of the South or something different? Let's, there's no peanut styles or Poth or just Poth. Let's. I would want a way to put us on the map. We want us to put Poth and great ideas like that.
It used to be a meat market.
Yeah, it used to be, yeah.
So yeah, you get Duke.
Yeah.
The objects and forgot the name of the
Ms. Echo, how long has it been since we had a
We
meeting?
got about 10 years, I think. That was on for.
Yeah, I feel like when I left for
Your dad had a lot to do with that too, because of the ACOG connection, they used to have, there's cars that.
Oh, is that, yeah, the cars come through?
Cars went through it, and so we would, over the years, we got gifts from all the people here in town, the meat markets, the feed stores and all that. And we had baggies, I mean, we had every car want to stop here to get stuff, because we treat them well, you know, they, we're right.
I mean, we did try to have the Wilson Park Club was going to try to come down here. I forgot what event was going to be out of the park that got canceled. I forgot what it was canceled for and stuff like that. But they're always kind of looking for events to go to and stuff like that. But I have to look through their schedule. Things right now because it's pretty busy, but maybe some more. We don't tend to have any springtime events or something like that.
That's what we did, was in May, yeah.
So that may be something to talk to them about.
Yeah. One thing I noticed in touchy subject, and I know two businesses that they call down here and they got to spend $500 to talk to the engineer. That's, businesses don't want to come down, they got to, yes, they'll pay a fee. But this to come in, if I'm bringing in a business, I want to find out what the infrastructure looks like. How much it's going to, what do y'all have, what do we have? And just to go in and talk to the engineer, you have to pay a fee. And I can, I had to deal with the government in San Antonio. And yes, we had to pay government fees, but we at least got to go in there and kind of talk to people first to see if it's something we want to do. But right now, your small developer, the mom and pop developer, they call down here, it's $500 fee, come talk to the engineer. And it's that definitely, that just turns people away, waste of time. I just want to talk. Well, no, you got to put up a fee, and that's what they get told. And these are things that's not business friendly. And because, like I said, for somebody to come in and build a strip mall, first thing they're going to want to know is what's the infrastructure is. You're not going to put up a strip mall if you can't service it with the water and the sewer and stuff like that. So you're going to have to learn. You've got to find these things out. And like I said, these are things that are turning some of the businesses away.
That's something I need to get with city council on. That's something I'm definitely going to share for the next meeting. And we can look at maybe making it smaller or maybe waiving it, I don't know.
Waiving it, just something, just so you can talk to them, and then if you go to the next step, at least be able to talk to somebody. But right now, you can't go talk to them unless you put up a non-refundable fine.
Would it be okay if it was like only scheduled at certain times, like maybe once a quarter, maybe a day, and you come down and
Somebody, you can put it on the deal, like I said, I understand why they somewhat did it, but
to have one on call is pretty expensive, but, you could maybe schedule.
It's $300, it's $150 an hour at minimum 2 hours, so it's $300.
Just trying to say, we're here, consolidated, saying that, maybe once a quarter, if you want to talk to the engineers, talk to the manager, whoever.
Yeah, I think you don't do this.
I'll definitely share that message. I'm here for that's a great idea. It does help become more friendly business.
it's got to come to this.
Anybody else got any other?
So I don't know this for a fact, maybe you guys might know a little bit better, but I think Floresville offers incentives for businesses when they move in. I don't know what those incentives are, I just caught wind of it, so maybe we can offer some sort of incentive
little bit, give it some more depth, maybe keep it fresher.
Looking at personally about technology, we think of that.
As she was saying, so much is done online now. And if your face to the world has had the same photograph for 3 years or 2 years or whatever, and they all are saying this, go to the next one. But if there was just something or some way that someone could do a fresh picture once a month, or, change it up a little bit, maybe that would be a really inexpensive way to generate some interest.
Yes, sir.
Well, then, piggybacking on that is there nobody that maintains that website?
Yeah, it's a city website, not development,
But like if it were easy for somebody to put their notification of a festival on the city of Poth website, so when somebody's researching festivals to go to, and that draws them to Poth.
That's a great idea.
That is a very good idea.
Is there potential for like city events? Like I know you said the Christmas in the Plaza, but to have like 2 or 3 festivals a year or something to draw people into
We're
Poth?
open to it, our meetings are open to the public, anybody has ideas, we welcome them every month. That's what we're here for, we want the community's input to help us enrich the community. So if there's other festivals that people like to see, please come join us and share these ideas with us, and we can find a way to work together to try to make these festivals happen.
A lot of farmers and ranchers around here, a lot of people are proud of their tractors. Temple every year has, there's other places as well, that have a tractor show and sell like a SWAT team. They also have other vendors and things like that. It's a real festival kind of thing. And I know of several families right here in this community that have some vintage restored tractors that they would love to show off, I'm sure, but where would they do it?
Texas used to have one, but I think that's been canceled now, right? And they haven't had
So anyway, that's another
It's a
one.
great idea, that's something I can work with, something you call, in the city or something.
See what happened, and maybe you can find the letters that used to go down there.
Okay.
Okay.
I can address kind of 2 of those. So a web developer, I always hate outing myself as the IT guy, but you can hire a web developer, much like you said, somebody's gonna wanna see the infrastructure. You can find the city's website, say, hey, we like this about this website, here's these forms you can fill out. If we could find something, y'all could find something you like, get everyone's input. Web development is, again, it's a one-time fee. Not saying that I can build a website, but that's not that hard of a process. And then you just assign somebody on city council or at city hall just to maintain it. Change a picture once a month. But once you get that initial code built, it's like having a building and you can modify it pretty simply. You just have to, web developers.
The website right now, you go in and try to, as a business, trying to come in here, try to navigate through it,
Yeah.
you're gonna get lost, you're not gonna find what you want.
It's not intuitive.
This is the day, this is what goes on. People go to the internet and they start, they put a engineer on and say, go down there and start looking through it and see if I can put this together. And right now, you go on that website, it's tough. You can't, it's hard to find things, it's hard to figure out where the zoning is.
It's not that user-friendly.
It's not user-friendly.
It's definitely something we can look into. We have a model of it, just, sit down and get the code and see what works. That's a good project for us to work on. Definitely did with the city great.
And then the splash pad, so are there, Ms. Echo, maybe you can answer this, some grants or something that we could,
Stockdale did.
Write a proposal?
Stockdale did use a grant to get theirs, splash pad over there was about $200,000. 45. It's fresh water that flows. The whole idea being that we've got the pond there. If there was some place we could put it where the overflow would flow to the pond, or because it's not like it runs the whole time. There's if you put it there, you get the thing that come out right, and so it's not like you're wasting water all the time. You know it. So that's a real possibility. And you might not even have to have a grant between each.
If there is one, I worked on.
Yours is Parks
I
and
wouldn't mind
Wildlife.
volunteering, you know.
Thank you. Yours is Parks and Wildlife, they got that grant. So,
But did you have an idea with your hand up?
well,
Did you have your hand up? No.
Speaking of the internet, does the city have franchises with the internet companies around here?
I think we have 2 or 1 franchise with the internet company. Don't we have a franchise with the internet company, or they're on our tower? Yeah. 1 or 2?
2, okay. Well, because I know Spectrum's coming down here, and they're bringing high-speed fiber down, which,
It would be nice.
well, it's commercial only right now. I don't know why so their pole is right in the intersection of my car, well, it's right across from your house too. And that's a very nice fiber, high-speed, I get perfect, but I'm paying commercial rates for it, which no residential customers can do that.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's any way we can encourage Spectrum to, I'm pretty sure they have capacity for that, to start offering residential service for it. Because right now, I believe it is Spectrum, it's not Frontier? No, it's Spectrum. This is not Frontier. I hate Frontier. So I tried Frontier, I tried Rise, I tried Zip, I tried some other things. I didn't try Starlink yet, but it's
That capacity for our area.
Is that capacity already? Okay, but when I saw them running, so they were running the line, so the commercial line right now runs to the school, the bank, one of the clothing businesses, and my house. But it would be nice to get better internet. Yeah, especially, but right now, I'm paying like $400 a month right now, commercial rate now, so. You're not gonna find any.
We can't do that.
Yeah, you're not gonna find regular people or residents who will spend that kind of for that. But it's great service. I mean, no one, the 4 of us on it down at this end of the line, I never see any delays or anything like that right now. It seems to be so much more reliable than, the Frontier lines are running over the old AT&T lines, which they're all buried around here and they get wet and they're always going down. And then when there's big rainstorms, the links to the water tower, and the news connection, that might range to lose that. So,
I know Google Fiber's halfway down to 775 into residential.
oh, okay.
Coming from the Vernon side.
Coming from the Vernon
So
side.
of course they're gonna, who knows how long it'll take them to eventually run this way.
Yeah. But I mean, the line runs right down behind this building right here, so they, it'd be,
And that's who?
that was Spectrum.
Spectrum, right.
Yeah, or, who are they owned by, their Spectrum? I forget. All these,
Spectrum, Time Warner.
yeah, something, I forget what chain you go up to get to them, but
Right.
the bill I get says Spectrum on it, but I don't know if there's any way to encourage them to,
In your job description.
because every time I talk to them, I keep saying, are you gonna offer residential services? No, I'm not, but I may not be talking, I'm talking to business people, of course they don't want me to pay less.
Well, if nobody has any other ideas, I want to thank you all for coming and look forward to our next town hall. And we'll report on some progress we made. Thank everybody for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.